started here yet? Alright, let's start. What's up? Back to the blue room. So, before we get on to this little vlog of the leopard gecko and his tank, I kind of wanted to show you guys something. I'm not a huge comic book fan, but I do collect some comic books of some of the things I like Mass Effect. Huge fan of Mass Effect. Huge fan of Firefly. Not a huge fan of Green Lantern. Not that I don't like him, but this is my son's. When I went to the comic book, he picked that up. So that's why that guy's there. Firefly, Mass Effect. But the crown jewel of the comic book collection is this guy. The first appearance of Count Nefaria. And I got that guy signed by Stan Lee when he was down here for the Tampa Bay Comic-Con show. So that's why that guy gets his own plaque. And the rest of them kind of just hang around. But yeah. Moving on. So this is going to be about Blue, which is my leopard gecko and his tank. I'm going to kind of show pretty much what I got going on here and how I set him up. And again, this is not a how-to, but just kind of like how I did. So you guys can see. I got, for a substrate, I got bricks down there that I got from Lowe's. And they kind of worked out pretty well. As far as sizing and everything, and it was pretty cheap. It keeps it pretty clean and pretty nice looking. I do have over here Eco Earth, which is basically the chopped up coconut stuff. Now I didn't do the whole thing in Eco Earth because of all the controversies with leopard geckos and Pactions and everything, so I was very kind of like, I don't know what to do. But since it was kind of supposed to be a display tank, I didn't want to just leave it on paper or newspaper or anything. I did kind of want something that would look a little bit natural, a little bit nice. But I also did want it to be a little bit easy to clean. So since leopard geckos do tend to go to the restroom or do their poopy business in the same spot, I decided to leave one brick out and leave that section with Eco Earth. So the only time he's really over here is when he needs to go potty. As you can see, he has a little bit of poop there. I'm going to clean up here in a minute. And the rest of the tank pretty much stays clean. So it makes very, 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 very easy maintenance. All I have to do is come in there with a little tissue paper, clean that up, and be done. So I love the way that worked out. Every now and then, if there's a poop here that I forgot to clean or that I missed, he'll poop somewhere around here or on the next block over, and then I'll have to take that block out and scrape it up. But even then, it's not that big a deal. It's pretty easy to clean up. I do have his rock hide over there, a plant, and that right there is actually another hide that I had for him that when I turned it up vertically ended up being pretty nice, hiding the pottery for the plant. The background there is actually homemade. I took some bark from a park around my house, and I took some rocks from out front, and I glued them to a piece of cardboard for the background. Now, I'm not sure if it comes through on the video or not, but what ended up happening with that is that I ended up having a lot of gaps in the rocks for the bottom section. And you could see the cardboard behind it, and it didn't really look very natural, or it just didn't come out very nice. So what I ended up doing was I ended up getting some glue, like spray glue, and throwing sand in between the rocks, and then doing another layer of glue, the ones that the can glue that you can spray to kind of coat it and leave the sand there, and that kind of covered up a lot of the empty gaps, and it ended up being a lot nicer. Now, what then ended up happening is when I fit it inside the tank, a lot of the sand started to fall off and into the cage, and since that was just white sand, it's very fine, it gets everywhere, and yeah, so it started falling into the tank. And I was just talking about impaction, and the reason why I didn't have Eco Earth everywhere was because of impaction. Well, now I then ended up having sand everywhere because of the background. It was falling off. So I got nervous about that and him licking the rocks or licking whatever fell on the floor. So I decided to take it out and lay the background behind the tank. So the background is actually, it sits behind the tank. But when you look at it, you really can't tell. It looks pretty nice. The only thing that kind of sucks is that the heating pad that I have under the rocks. I have a under tank heater, but it sits inside the tank but under the rocks, so that I didn't want it to be under the tank and under the rocks. I did want it to get pretty hot in there, or at least do its job. So since the under tank heater is in the tank, the cable is in the tank, so the cable kind of, you know, it's visible. Now you might say, well, just move the plant to this side. Well, then it's kind of just sitting on the heater, so I didn't know about that. And also, the background, if you look right there, it doesn't reach the edging of the tank. So there's about, you know, about a 1-inch gap between the cardboard and the edge of the tank. So the plant does a pretty good job at covering that kind of, I don't know a YouTube appropriate word other than F up, but yeah, that F up on that side, I use the plant to cover that up. Screw up is a good word. The plant covers that screw up. But other than that, yeah, that's what I did. Bark, silicone, some rocks, and that's the background. Everything else is pretty much store-bought, except for that rock. That actually came from the beach somewhere. And yeah, so I'll show you this guy here since haven't seen him yet. Let's go ahead and I'll show you what it's like to clean this guy. Alright. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and turn this off right here. Oh, actually, I'm doing a video, so I have no idea what I'm doing and kind of rolling with it. But actually, I gotta get this guy out of the room, because if I try to open up that cage with this guy in the room, he will eat that guy really quick. Won't you, Shady? Hey, Shady. No, he's so cute. He's not going to want to leave. He's all... Oh, the other one's here too. So these are the other two guys that share the blue room. This is Luna. Don't know what kind of cat other than a long-haired cat. And that is Shady. Again, don't know what kind of cat, but other than a short-haired cat. What? Yeah. These two are rescues. This guy, he was found where? Under a bridge. There was a litter of cats under a bridge, and so we did rescue him from a pet store that had him, and she was also a rescue. I don't know where she came from. But hey, kids, you guys want to get the cat out the room for me?
Yeah.
So we can take the gecko out?
Oh, you look too cute.
I know. Yeah. No.
That's sorry.
No. Julian, why do you look like a Ninja Turtle?
Because I want to be a Ninja Turtle.
Because you want to be a Ninja Turtle? Alright, well, that works. Ninja Turtles are awesome. Anyways, back to this guy. And probably rambling, but I should probably also tell you this too. I got him on mealworms right now. Predominantly on mealworms. But I also have, I just started kind of every now and then feeding him some superworms. Now, I don't have him on superworms as a primary diet, just kind of as a treat. But yeah, these guys are freaky, and I'm probably got it way too close to the camera. But I also feed him crickets every now and then too. I like to feed him crickets as much as possible, but as you can see, I don't have any crickets in the cricket cage, and I'm terrified of one of those things actually jumping on me, which is why I don't have a bearded dragon, because I know bearded dragons actually require a little bit more cricket in their diet than mealworms. But yeah, if one of those things jumped on me, I totally freak out. So Yeah, let's go ahead and clean up this guy's cage. And we're just gonna take this off and put this off to the side.
Okay, I'll hold it.
And so,
Papi, can I hold it?
these little lizards are awesome because, again, they're super easy to clean. They don't have a whole lot.
Papi, can I hold it?
You wanna hold Blue?
Can I hold him too?
And Blue got his name because we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. We got him from a local pet store, which, you know, they kind of say a lot of times that they don't treat them right and they don't do very well in the pet stores. But it was my first time buying one. I didn't really know what I was doing. And they actually had them on sale. I think I got them for like $15 because it was a local pet store. They were opening up. It was a brand new pet store, and so they had a sale going on everywhere. I already had his cage, and I already had planned on getting a gecko. I just didn't know when I was going to get him. And so the store went on sale. It was like $15 for the gecko. I was like, yeah, I can't beat that price. But looking back at it, I don't know exactly how old he was. He was about 3 months, is what the guy at the pet store told me, is that they get him in usually around 3 months old. So I think now he's probably about, what, like 6 months old now, 6 or 7 months old now. But I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, and I don't know what kind of morph he is neither. So I'll show him to you guys in a minute here. And if any of you guys kind of know what morph he is and could tell me what the morph is, that'd be awesome, because I really don't know. He might just be a normal, but, you know, we'll see. And we'll just get this thing right here. And again, this is all I do for the cleanup is get his poop out. Looks like he has enough water, but I'll just pour a little bit of water in there. Fill that up to the top. He looks like he has a lot of mealworms still in there because I did feed him a one of those super worms. I'm not sure if it was yesterday or the day before. But yeah, he still has plenty in there, so I probably won't give him any more mealworms from now. Now this is his cool side, so I like also having the plant there because I can water the plant and wet his moss. I have moss inside of his rock hide there, and so I'll spray the moss and spray the plant, and that'll actually keep this whole side here pretty moist and pretty cool, while the hot side over here stays pretty where it needs to be. Now I'm not sure if you can see this right here, this little section here. I used to have a coconut hide that didn't have a bottom base. This section here, this new hide that I have, has a base at the bottom, so the moss actually sits on the inside, but on top of this base. Previously, when I had the moss just sitting on these rocks, I'm not sure if you can tell, but you get like a yellow discoloring around here, because the moss stays pretty moist, and I didn't really like that. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if it's mildew or something like that. But I just didn't like it, so I got a new hide for him that actually has a base, so the moss can sit in there and the moisture will stay off of this rock here. So yeah, I'll show you that here now. And this is probably pretty pretty common in most of the pet stores. And there we have Blue. Oh, and I never told you why his name was Blue. His name is Blue because we didn't know if he was a boy or a girl. And so he had blue eyelids on the top of his eyes over here. His eyelids were pretty blue.
I'll hold him.
And so we just named him Blue.
I'll hold him.
He's a little jumpy today. I'm not sure why. He's usually not that jumpy.
Papi, I'll carry him.
You're okay. You're okay.
I'll carry him, Papi. Papi, I'll carry him. Okay, he already heard you.
Hold on.
Me first.
So that's Blue. Again, I don't know what kind of morph he is. He does seem to have a little bit of yellow coming out of him. And on these bands out here. And those yellows are actually starting to show up a little bit more now that he is growing up and a couple of sheds into him. The yellow is actually popping out even more, which is pretty cool. He didn't have that much yellow when we first got him, so I thought that was pretty cool. His tail looks pretty fat, so I'm hoping he's kind of healthy. And yeah, so that's him. You guys want to hold him?
Yeah, me.
All right, go sit down on the couch.
Be fast.
And I didn't notice about geckos, but they make this little squeaking sound, kind of like a whistle. And he does it when he's moving around very fast, and he's kind of crawling all over the place. He'll do this little whistle. It's very, 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 very light. I doubt you'll catch it on the camera, but it's pretty cool. I didn't know they can do that. But if they get scared, they'll squeal entirely and jump. So you kind of don't want to scare them too much. And hence, sit, stay put. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and sit here. And this is pretty much how we typically hold them. Alright, and you just let me go around.
I want him on my leg, okay?
You want him on your leg?
Yeah. Aww.
Oh, let him climb up. Hello, guy. Hey. Oh. He's kind of weird. He usually likes to go inside and dig down into the deepest hole he can find, or crawl all the way up. He's kind of one or the other. It's okay. It's okay. He's gonna give you a kissy on the cheek.
Oh no. Oh no, that's gonna tickle.
Oh.
Oh my god. My god.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. Oh, there he gave you a kissy. That's too cute. Now again, we've only had him for about 3 months, so I still don't know how long we can actually hold them and keep them out. I've been trying to keep them out, I'd say about 10 to 20 minutes. 20 minutes being kind of max. But he does pretty good so far. Come on. There you go. Hold on, let me get him. You want to hold him? Now you gotta be very still. Yeah. This is practice for the ball python,
Guys.
okay? When we get the snake, you gotta be very, very, very
When he's
still.
on your neck, his nails though, they're growing. They hurt.
It's gonna tickle.
It tickles. Wait, I wanna have him on my legs. It tickles.
But that's it. That's all I do for him. I clean his litter box, is what I call a little section with the Eco Earth, is his little litter box. Refill his water, water the plants, and I still gotta spray his moss. And that's about it. And that'll be a wrap for this little guy. Come on, this way. Come on. There you go. So that's about it. I'll throw a little bit of spray on this here. And cover that up. And that's it. That's a wrap for this guy. I love it. These guys are super simple, super easy to take care of. Again, if he was low on mealworms, I'd probably stick some more mealworms in there. And what you see in there right now is calcium powder and, well actually that's going to be vitamins. He had vitamins yesterday, so I dusted the mealworms in multivitamins. and kind of threw them in there with the multivitamins. And when I toss the mealworms out, I'll toss it out with all the powder. Some of the other stuff you see in there is the wheat or oats that the mealworms will eat. So I kind of just toss it in there as a blend. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I figure the multivitamins don't really stick to the mealworms as good as the calcium does. When you dust the mealworms and crickets with the calcium, it sticks to the crickets and mealworms very well. The multivitamins don't. So what I'll do is I'll powder the mealworms with the multivitamins, and I'll hand feed them with the tweezers a couple of the mealworms, and he'll feed off the tweezers the mealworms, and I'll make sure he gets a good dosage of the multivitamins, and I'll just leave the rest in the bowl. I mean, as he comes in here and nips at a mealworm, he's bound to grab, you know, a bite full of the multivitamins as well. So that kind of just makes sure he gets a dosage of that. Again, I'm not sure if that's recommended or if that's good or bad, that I have the wheat and the multivitamin in there all kind of just mixed together in a little salad. But if it is, please tell me. Again, I don't know one way or another, but that's kind of just how I do it right now. And he's been kind of doing okay. So again, he's only been here 3 months, so he's going pretty good. If I know how, I might mix in some pictures of when I got him and some of his sheds that he's done. But I don't know if I know how to do that, so you might get it and you might not. But yeah, that's all. Jeep wave.